Hi everyone, welcome back to What You Working With. It's me, Jace Buggin, and today I am here with Jasmine from Abode Above Interior Designs. And today we're gonna learn about what she does as an interior designer. And I'm pretty sure y'all probably don't even know what an interior designer is and why they make the world go round. So Jasmine, can you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what an interior designer is?
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Jasmine of Abode Above Interiors. And an interior designer is someone who uses information from clientele and forms a design space based on what their needs are, their style is, how they're going to use the space. So, function and form come together. Use of color is very big for me. So, I like to inject a lot of color in my designs and just create a space that's going to be inspirational for people and make them able to better function in their daily lives. So that's what I do as an interior designer. Interior designers, by and large, do that, but then everybody has their own thing, their own angle on it. And that's just what I do.
Yeah, that sounds cool. Is it like did you start off like did you do art in school and then did it just take you further like that, or how, like, what was your journey on becoming an interior designer?
So ironically, I am one of the least artistic people you will ever meet. And I know that's gonna sound fun. No, I know I can't draw
Yeah.
to save my life. And that's really I would like to stand up for all the other fellow designers who are not artists. Like at their core, we have creative spirits, but I cannot draw to save my life. So that's not me.
Wow.
That's not me. I would say more of like a visionary kind of
Yeah.
creativity that's like I can see something as it
Mhm.
should be using space and lines and how light kind of interacts with certain things in a space. But if I was to try to draw it for you, we would both be in trouble. We would both be in trouble.
You
So I
know,
actually use a lot of I use a lot of technology, a lot of renderings and things like
uh,
that digitally to create my designs.
that's crazy because I'm sitting here thinking like, yeah, so I can't draw, I can't do this, so yeah, interior design not for
You
me.
don't
But
have
now
to.
just
I
hearing
mean,
that,
it helps. It
I
helps,
may
but you
have
don't
some hope.
necessarily have to. Yeah. You
I
got
may
hope.
have
You
some
got hope.
hope. Nah, that's really cool. So, how did you get into interior design?
So it wasn't a straightforward path by any means. I actually did not study to be an interior designer. Actually, in my college life, I actually studied criminal justice, and so I worked in a law firm
Mhm.
for some years. And then, actually, at the beginning of 2020, when everybody was kind of scrambling for what the new normal was, I found myself in a position to explore a passion of mine that kind of had just been a hobby. It had been something that I did for friends and like family members as like a side thing. Never imagining that it could be a job, right? Never imagining that I could make a living doing it.
Mhm.
And I finally was at a place where I was like, okay, I'm home. Everybody's home. Let me see what I can
Yeah.
turn this into. And started studying the fundamentals of design, studying the fundamentals of business because also that's not my background.
Yeah.
And built this thing from the ground up, and have haven't looked back since.
I feel like that's so cool because during COVID, a lot of people were, like depressed and they didn't know what to do. They didn't have like the resources or things that they needed because they were inside the whole time. So
Yeah.
I just want to give you your flowers because that's something that's not easy to do. You literally
Thank
start a
you.
whole business during COVID
Yeah.
and then look at it like it's even prospering even after. So that's good.
Thank you.
Do you want to go back to the law firm?
So I don't mean to laugh, but the law firm that actually I left a couple years later when I had been kind of neck deep into this thing. Oh, well, actually, they helped me form my business. So I
Oh, okay.
hired them to form my LLC, to start my business, to help me get my formation papers, correct and everything in the state of Delaware. And then they routinely, we keep in touch, but they have asked me, so your spot is, and I'm like, no thanks. I'm all set. I'm good. I'm good here.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they like that. I feel like that's also good. Like they helped you like get the LLC and stuff, man.
Yeah.
I think it's basically a blessing that you started this business because
It
like
was the
you
path
really
I needed to be on. It was. It really was. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So with that being said, you don't have a degree in interior design, right? It was just something that
No.
so what were the resources that you used to like, study the fundamentals of design and like how to run a business? What did you use? YouTube, Google? Like what did you or did
I
you have a
mean,
mentor?
all the things, lady, all the things. So, that's a really good question. Online courses are your friend, right? There are um, various platforms. The first one coming to mind right now is something called Udemy, where
Mhm.
other interior designers actually lead classes. They lead courses for you to be able to learn these fundamentals. And that was one. Reading books, people like physical books. I have a stack over here right now because I'm always reading and trying to make sure I'm abreast of everything I need to know in this business, even
Mhm.
being 4 years in. There's always something new to learn. Um, but yeah, just studying YouTube University is always the go. It's always helpful.
Yes.
There's always an answer out there to be found if you have the question, right? Google is your friend. But really, more than anything, it was experience, just
Yeah.
doing it, right? There's things that you'll never know unless you're in the moment making the decision or discovering the thing.
Yeah.
And overcoming that is the best teacher, I think. So yeah, that is
Wow,
business.
that's
And then
good.
also having a very supportive partner as well. Not having
Yeah.
to worry so much about, oh, this is my only source of income. What am I going to do? Right? Like having a little bit
Yeah.
of breathing room was huge. And I know I'm fortunate for that, because not a lot of people have that position, but I
Yeah,
was
or they have to like wait and wait till they
mhm,
stack up their money where this, that, and third, but you was able to just like let feel it through, go through the
right,
motions, even
right.
if sometimes the money might be a little
Yep,
wonky just because,
yep.
but that's really good.
Flexibility to explore was huge. It was very big
Yeah,
for me.
and I feel like that also helped you kept you like your momentum going because you wasn't so
Mhm.
pressed like what I'm gonna do, how I'm gonna get the next
Right,
dollar.
right, right.
But I could tell
But
that like you're really passionate about like being an interior designer just because of how much research and stuff and like you said you're always reading, you're always trying to make sure that you stay in the loop with everything and I
right,
think that's
right.
good because not a lot of people do it like me right now. I don't look at the podcast books and say hey what's that. I
Yeah.
don't do that. I also don't even listen to other people's podcasts, sorry guys, but I'm a
Well, I
fraud.
would say
No.
I think that's helpful. I've heard that's helpful though, because similarly, I don't watch a lot of design shows anymore. Like I
Okay,
before
okay.
I was a designer, I watched them like nothing. Like I was always watching HGTV, but now as a designer,
Really,
I do not watch. No, no.
I
Mm-mm.
think it's
I don't
something
see what
like
other people are doing. I try to keep tunnel vision. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Yeah,
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I because then it's like, okay, well, what can I do? And then you start thinking like, well, I'm gonna just stay in my lane, okay?
yeah. There's
Like,
there's a saying like comparison is the thief of joy, right? So
yeah,
if you're seeing what somebody else is doing, and maybe you're not doing it on that level, you haven't reached that platform yet, or whatever the case, it's always going to feel like
yeah,
comparison to them is going to bring you down. So I try to avoid it as best I can. I mean, I know it's hard in the age of social media; it's really hard,
yeah.
especially for
You see
me. Seeing other
Instagram
designers,
and
what people
TikTok,
are doing. Yes, Instagram, absolutely. Yeah,
they
but
really
I
be
try to
like,
stay.
oh.
Yeah, yeah,
But that's still good though, cause I just feel like you just putting in all the work and then like you just see the result. Like I saw your stuff on Instagram and I was just like, wow, this look good. Like she legit, like so
thank
that's
you.
what's up. So I would say you don't wait, no, I asked that question already.
What? What?
So
Oh,
can you
it's
just
okay.
so can you describe a typical day in your life as an interior designer?
So it changes all the time, because I am both a solopreneur and I am a
Mhm.
mom full time, especially now during the summer. I'm home with my kids. A lot of it depends on what day it is. So, some days I have help. My husband works from home, so I'm able to like leave the kids at home and I can be off doing what I need to do, going to visit
Yeah.
vendors, seeing sources, sourcing items, and meeting with clients and doing walkthroughs and having discovery calls uninterrupted. All of those things happen in a
Mhm.
normal day. And then otherwise, I'm like, I think that for me, whimsy is as big a component of my business as actual uh, the day to day is. So I make time to like sit in the sun with my kids, which is really important for my creativity.
Yeah.
I try to do window shopping at really nice, like maybe resale places, secondhand shops, things like that. and just talking and interacting with people, keeping that line to myself open to the
Yeah.
world around me, is really important for my creativity. So you have both the business side of things that you have to stay abreast of, but then also the
Yeah.
creative side. And so my day to day can be anything from like lounging at home with my kids to running around, driving hours and hours. I have a project in Atlantic City right now, so that's a 2 hour drive, and then
Wow.
2 hour
Okay.
drive back. So I'm in my car a lot, doing all the things, picking things up, dropping things off, email all day long. I have two phones. It's always happening. Um, yeah, it's pretty busy. And there's a blend of like high moments and like low moments all the time where I'm feeling really, really overwhelmed, and then where I'm like,
Yeah.
I got this. So there's no day that's like any other day. It's always something different.
It's always something different. Well,
Yeah,
I think that's cool to how you try to keep your creativity side going as well by, like you said, going to the stores, window shopping, just looking around, see what you could
yeah,
look at and like what you could probably possibly see for the next client. And also
yeah.
just, like you said, spending time with your kids as well because
Mhm.
a lot of entrepreneurs or solopreneurs, they also like balance and flexibility. That's just something they gotta work on. Like me, that's something I
Yeah.
gotta work on. And also time management as well.
Oh, that's huge.
Especially
That's huge.
since when we in school, like they don't teach us about time management and how to do this. So that's something you
Hmm.
really have to learn on your own. But I like to see that, you really like making sure you got these things in check where you even though it's not every day where it's the
Right.
same thing, but you make sure you take time out for each thing that you're working on.
Yeah,
So
it's a
I
lot of
did
balls
have
in the
a
air. Yeah,
huh?
for sure. There's a lot of balls in the air. You got to keep them,
Yes. But
all afloat. Yeah, for sure.
and I know it could be like pretty overwhelming and stuff, but it's just good to see you keep you're still going. You still reading your book. Like you're just doing
I don't want
everything
to.
good.
You got all the compliments, but I want to be very clear. There are really, really hard times in this business. Like being an interior designer can feel like feast or famine.
Mhm.
In that, like, there are days where it's like I'm going, 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 and
Yeah,
I don't have a minute to think. And then there are days where I haven't heard from a new client in like a
in a
couple of
minute.
days, and it kind of that
Yeah.
panic sets in. Like balancing it all is really tough, and so having a really good self-care regimen is super important too. Like you just have to try to keep on top of all that stuff, checking in with yourself, seeing what you need in that moment, and taking
Mhm.
care of it immediately is really important, as immediate as possible. So
Yeah, I agree. Self-care really is important
it
cuz
is.
even just day to day with even if you don't have a job, you still need self-care cuz it's just like you just find yourself just sucked in like this little hole.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
"Whoo, how I get out?" But
Yeah,
okay,
it
so
be
I
tough.
wanted to ask you, how was you able to build your clientele? Because I know you said you started in COVID.
Yeah.
You started during COVID. So how are you
Yeah.
able to like build your clientele and stuff like that?
It's a great question. So, when you're just getting started, the scariest part is telling people about it.
Mhm.
So, my first client was actually a friend of a friend. No, she was a cousin of a friend.
Okay.
My friend had told her that I had basically on my personal Instagram, kind of, I had blasted out there, I'm starting this thing. And a lot of my friends were like, finally, we've been
Oh,
waiting for you to
they
do
was
this.
waiting.
Yes, they were like, "What have you been waiting for?" Finally, so her cousin was actually, it was a small project in her living room. She was like,
Mhm.
I don't know what I'm doing. It's a really weird, awkward space. Please help me figure it out." And so at that point, looking back, it was really bare bones. Like I had no idea what was happening,
For
but
real?
we kind of worked really closely together to figure it out. And she was my first client. From there, I was able to see where there were holes in my process, so I could figure
Mhm.
out how I need to fix certain things to make it better for clients. And then you
Yeah.
kind of just build from there. And so the business I have now is completely different from the business that I had then. But yeah, it was really just word of mouth. Is Referrals are huge for interior designers. They really are. They're gold. So that's
Wow.
how I started. Yeah.
So would you do you still like post on Instagram and yeah, do you still post on Instagram and try do people contact you through Instagram now or they still is through word of mouth?
A little bit of both. So somewhere along the line, I realized that a lot of my clients were going to be from referral, and
Mhm.
there were going to be people who their cousin or their sister saw my
Yeah.
Instagram feed and was like, "Girl, you need to look at this designer." So it's really, really important to be on top of your social media as far as that goes, because for a
Mhm.
designer, your proof is in the work that you put out, right? So if people
Yeah.
can't see it, they don't necessarily know that what you're even doing, right?
Yeah.
So that's a big part of it. I'm terrible at times with Instagram. Actually, took over the summer. I took like a 4 week hiatus, so my Instagram algorithm is hating me right now because I'm trying to get it back together. But then also another source of it is just putting yourself out there to other professionals in your field, right? So
Yeah.
trade sources and vendors, going to Sherwin Williams even and leaving my business card on their little,
Mhm.
display. Um, and I work really closely with the GC that I formed a relationship with back when I first started, and we kind of just figured out our rhythm. And so now when he gets a client who's like, "I need my bathroom redone," or "I need my living room
Oh,
redone,"
okay.
he's like, "Well,
And
I
the
got a
GC
designer,"
is a
and
general
it's me.
contractor, right?
Yes, sorry,
Okay.
yes, a general
It's okay. I
contractor.
just want to
Yep.
make sure.
Yeah, yeah, you
Okay.
got it.
That's what's up. So how are you able to how do you form your prices for like different things? How are you able to do that?
So that's, I mean, it's tricky because every designer does it differently. I realize
Mhm.
that for me, I can't do it based on time. I
Mhm.
have to do it based on what I think I need to do. And I know this sounds very confusing, but basically, say, for example, I'm designing a bedroom. Um,
Yeah.
and that bedroom, the client doesn't want the whole rip out, new floors, new whatever, right? It's basically the room as is, and then I'm just decorating it. I know
Yeah.
based on that, the amount of labor required for me to source items for that space. So I will
Mhm.
quote it based on that. Um,
Okay.
some designers go by like their hourly rate. Some designers go by a do not to exceed price, meaning like I'm going to charge you this per hour, but then when I get to this point, right, where I get to like 5 grand, I'm gonna stop. I
Okay.
can't necessarily do it that way. I have to do it based on the room size, what's needed for that room, and meeting clients in their space is integral because I can't, if I can't see it, I can't really tell you what I'm going to do. And even in the moment I'm in the
Yeah.
space, I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but I know what I have to do to get it where it needs to be. So it's kind of hard to answer that question because it feels
No, but
like it's
that's
just a
okay.
mix of a bunch of different things, but it's a quote by quote basis, right?
Okay.
And so I have an area, like I have a range that I give my clients what it will
Mhm.
cost for a certain level of service because I do have different levels, right? Not everybody needs the same thing. Some people
Right.
just want a mood board, some people want an e-design, some people want full service where I'm doing everything, right? I'm
Mm.
ordering things, I'm managing the project with the general contractor, I'm meeting with other people to make sure it all comes together. So that those are all different levels. So
Yeah.
based on what they need and the space itself, I quote.
That's you just proceed with that. Okay. And is it where you is this state based, or do you like when people say, "Oh, I'm here in like Jersey," you go there and do you get like an out of state fee, or like are you strictly are you said you're in Delaware?
I'm in Delaware, right? So
Yeah, so
um mhm.
is it strictly in Delaware, or do you like move around a little bit, or it depends?
So my services, basically my first two levels, my mood board and my e-design, those are virtual services, meaning I don't
Okay.
necessarily have to be there in person to do it,
Mhm.
do the project for you. I like to. And so my service area is Delaware, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland, and like basically anywhere within like a 200-mile radius, right?
Okay.
Because that's how much I can drive and be comfortable, right?
Yeah.
But virtually I can take I have a system in place or a process in place where I will send you something, you take a scan of your space, you send it back to me, and I can stand in that space and be there, right, virtually.
Yeah.
And then I can reproduce or I can create a design based on that space. And
Mhm.
so there's a lot that I can do virtually, and that's actually the first two steps of my process anyway, whether I see you in person or not, is to
Yeah.
do the virtual part of it. But then I can't do that for full service from, if
Yeah.
I'm in Delaware and you're in California, I
Yeah.
can't do that. But yeah, so it depends on the level of service, but I do a lot virtually, and the things where I have to be in person, that's that 200-mile radius. I can't go further than that.
Okay. And how do you handle like people like I guess frauds versus people who are for real about, wanting to want their homes to be like done over or
Mhm.
something like. How do you handle that?
That's a great question. So a lot of people will be curious about what you do. And that's
Mhm.
why I offer a free discovery call for anybody who wants to talk to me, right? So
Okay.
it's normally like 20, 30 minutes, sometimes longer if they can talk, right? Where we're discussing what the design process looks like. I'm not getting into
Yeah.
specifics about your space in particular, but I'm telling you what I offer. And then at that point, you can decide whether or not you want to do a walkthrough with me. Now, my
Mhm.
walkthrough, normally ranging an hour or so,
Mhm.
is paid. That's a charge. So that's the first time where you have to be like, okay, are you serious? Because if you're
Yeah.
serious, you're going to pay to have somebody come out and do, a walkthrough
Okay.
consultation. And that's also a service I offer by itself, right? So if
Mhm.
somebody is like, oh, I don't know what to do, I need to chat with a professional. We don't have
Yeah.
to do anything outside as far as designing the space itself. But if you want to talk to me about, okay, what would you do here for drapes or what would you do here for color? I'm happy to chat. You're still going to pay for that time, right? So it's
Yeah.
about making sure people understand that this is a business. I'm not just like doing this as a favor anymore. And
Yeah.
the more you take yourself seriously about that type of thing, the more other
Mhm.
people will as well. So
Okay, that
definitely
makes sense.
charging for your time when it actually is something you're doing for your business is really important.
Okay, so it's like that booking fee, when you go get your hair
Yep.
done and they be like,
Yep.
"That deposit, that's what you
Mhm.
do. You make sure they drop that deposit." But okay, I
Sure.
get it. I
Yeah,
get it.
because at that
Okay.
point when you see the number and I've built my system up where the number is embedded, right? So at the
Mhm.
time you're scheduling your walkthrough, you have to pay right then. Otherwise it doesn't get on my calendar. So it kind of just says the seriousness of the moment, like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm happy to help you. Are you for real though? If you're just window
Yeah.
shopping, you don't want to spend money to window shop. So it just
Right.
deters people. It deters people a little bit.
Wow. That's good though. I'm glad. I like how you set up how you set it. Hold on. I like how you set it up where
Right.
as soon as the ball starts to roll, they gotta make sure that they serious about this and then send the money over and do your thing and we can keep it rolling. But that way you
Right.
won't be like this won't be a fraud or this person is being weird or creepy, like no, they for real, whatever.
Right.
So
There
yeah.
are still creepy people. Let me be very clear. Creepy people will
Oh.
pay, right? So you have to be careful. Again, I'm a solo entrepreneur by
Yeah.
myself. I'm a woman, right? But for the most part, that discovery call is also really important. So weeding good energy versus
Yeah,
kind of weird
bad
energy
energy.
as well. Yeah, keep
Yeah.
your intuition open when it comes to that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
and be like, that don't look right. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
You know. So how has this career impacted you as a person?
Ooh, I mean, from the largest scale to the smallest. So like when I was coming up, when I was your age, oh God, when I
Mhm.
was your age, I never really cared about what I did for a living. I know that sounds
Yeah.
weird, but I really just felt like my job is for money so that I can live my life, right? My life
Yeah.
is going to be the things that I do outside of my 9 to 5.
Yeah.
But it has changed my perspective completely to do this thing every day. Um, and it's a passion of mine. It's not just
Yeah.
something I'm doing to make money. It's a thing that brings me joy and it fulfills me.
Mhm.
So it's changed my life in that way. It also made me have the life that I always dreamed of having without having
Yeah.
to make it, I guess, to a certain
Mhm.
extent. So like people think as like you've made it when you're rich enough that your time is your own, right? I'm not rich,
Yeah.
but my time is still my own, and I'm doing a thing
Right.
that I really enjoyed doing. Um, and it also allows me to spend time with my children, which is really, really important to me. So,
Mhm.
so it's changed my life immensely. Like, you know, all new moms, I think, are familiar with the sensation of having to give your kids to somebody, when they're
Yeah.
little babies, to
And
take
go
care
back
of
to
them because you
work.
got to go to work, right? When COVID happened and everybody came home, I was like, I'm not giving my baby back, right? My son, my
Right.
youngest, was 1, right? I'm not giving my baby back. How can I do
Mhm.
what I want to do and also have time with my kid and watch him grow and
Mhm.
all that? And it yeah, there's countless ways, right? There's countless ways where it's changed my life for the better. There's
Yeah.
also ways that it made my life harder, because being an entrepreneur is not for the faint of heart at all. You have to be steady. You have to be rock solid when it comes to what you want to do and what you're doing,
Mhm.
and you have to believe in it. And that's hard to always do, right? It's hard to believe in yourself 100% of the time, all the time. So
Yeah.
just that is also something that, as an adult in my 30s, I'm still learning how to
Mhm.
be solid in what I'm doing. But it gets better every
And know,
day. The
like,
more you
"Yeah,
do it,
you
the
got this,
easier it
girl." Like, keep telling
is.
yourself that, like, "Yeah,
Right.
I got this. I could do this. Yeah, this gonna turn out," but it is hard. You're
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Yep.
Whew. So it really just helped you just, did it help you believe in yourself and know, like, you got this and you're able to do the things that you wanna do that you always wanted to do with this as well, right?
Well, it's evidence of me believing in myself, right? It's not that I don't.
Okay.
It's me believing in myself, and now I have proof of why I should.
Yeah.
Because I can do this thing that I can do hard things, right? I can pursue this thing I've never done before. I can talk to these people that I never would have talked to before. I could create
Yeah.
this thing that didn't exist before, and
Mhm.
only or it only existed in my head, and make it real. Those are all like things that I have proof of now, right? So your confidence is only built up even higher when you can
Mhm.
do those things. So
When you build something out. That was just in here. I agree too. Like with
yeah.
this podcast, like it was just some notes in my book. And then like
Mhm.
now I really brought it to life. Like I have posters of myself. Like I
You
have all
better
of them.
go
Like,
ahead. You
oh
better
my
go ahead.
God.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Do your thing,
Yeah. So
girl.
it's like,
Do it.
yeah, you're right. So you're so true. It is evidence that you do like believe in yourself too. And I feel like
Mhm.
sometimes as like starting something off by yourself, being an entrepreneur or wanting to
Mhm.
do something different than everyone else. It is
Mhm.
hard, but when you're
Yeah.
doing it, we tend to forget like, "Oh yeah, I did that. Oh, I
Mhm.
did that too." And
Mhm.
we tend to
Mhm.
forget the things that we did by ourselves. So when times are hard, it's like, "Oh man,
Yeah.
I don't know." But then we got to remember like, "Oh yeah, we did that. So if I did this, then I definitely could do that
Do the
or
same
this, that,
thing.
and the third.
Yep.
Because I already, yep. So I agree. So I feel like you touched on this a little bit, but I
Mhm.
asked this question at the end for everybody, and it's my $1,000,000 question because I just need to know, and I'm pretty sure the listeners want to know out there too. Is the
What?
money worth it? That's my $1,000,000 question.
So, yes, yes. So I was making, um, when I was a paralegal at the law
Mhm.
firm, I was making about 65 grand a year. So I was
Mhm.
doing okay, right? I last year, which was my third year, I nearly doubled it working for myself.
Ooh wee.
So I'm not saying that every year's like that. That was a really good year.
Yeah.
So not every year's like that, but uh, it's good. It's good. And not
Yeah.
and to be clear, I'm an entrepreneur, right? All that money ain't mine. My business got a big claim on that money, but it's money
Right.
that I made by myself, with myself,
Right.
with my own hands and my own mind. So
Mhm.
it's really awesome. But the money can be great. It can be great. Interior design itself is a luxury industry, right? People don't
Mhm.
need an interior designer. You're not entitled
Right.
to one. It's not like it's food or housing. If you want an interior designer, realize that it is a luxury service. So it's going to
Mhm.
have luxury costs associated with it, because you're
Mhm.
basically getting like a courtier, right? You're getting somebody that's going to help assist you through this process of designing your
Yeah.
home. And at the end of it, you're going to have this stunning space that is going to be, a place you're going to want to live. It's going to be a place everybody's going to want to come see and hang out at.
Right.
And it'll be worth it. It's an amazing privilege to be able to have an interior designer. So cost
Yeah.
associated with it matches.
So it's
Yeah.
worth it. It
Mhm.
yeah, I'm
It
sorry for
definitely
that.
is.
It's definitely worth it, and you can live the life that you want to live with it as well. And I feel like that also why it makes it worth it too. Like you're home and you
Mhm.
could just do the things that you would like to do. So I'm
Yeah.
I'm grateful to have you on this show and to
Thank you
learn
so much
about
for
what you
having
do day
me.
to day. You're welcome, and I think I think like you're my first entrepreneur I interviewed.
Oh,
Yeah,
happy
I
to be
think
that.
so.
Yeah.
Yes, so it was really cool. That's what my questions were like. I know I sent you the question, but
Mhm.
my questions were a little bit different because I think I could like go in a little bit more. So
Right.
I just want to thank you so much, and I hope you guys
You're
enjoyed
welcome.
this episode as much as I did. And we will see you guys next time. Bye.